Both empires started to destroy these principalities, and by the middle of the 19th century they controlled all of the Kurdish land. Since then, our people hasn't seen any peacetime and rose up many times. At the beginning of this century, the subject peoples of the Ottoman Empire, Greeks, Slavs, Armenians, Kurds, or at least their intelligentsias, looked the concept of nationality as the key to independence. With the defeat and the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire, these subject nations expected to achieve statehood.
At the end of the First World War, British troops were occupying southern Kurdistan, or what called province or Wilayat of Mosul. According to the Sykes-Picot Treaty of 1916, France was to take half the province of Mosul, and Britain was to take the half which contained Kirkuk. But Britain wanted the other half as well, partly because of oil.
Then in 1920, the Treaty of Sèvres by the Allies provided for the creation of a Kurdistan and an Armenia, as well as the three Arab states of Hijaz, later Saudi Arabia, Syria and Iraq. A Kurdish administration was established in Sulaimania by Sheikh Mahmud, and in Persia, Simco introduced the slogan of independence by liberating a large part of Kurdistan.
But the treaty was never ratified by the Turkish National Assembly. In November 1922, the Sultanate was abolished. The subsequent military campaigns of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk virtually put down the Kurdish revolt of Sheikh Said and effectively ended hopes of an independent Kurdistan. The Treaty of Lausanne, which Kemal negotiated with the Allies in 1923 following his victory over the Greeks, confirmed the creation of three Arab states, but made no mention of either Kurdistan or Armenia. Not all of Ottoman Kurdistan remained with Turkey after the First World War. Small enclaves were incorporated into Syria, which was then placed under French mandate.
At the same time, the British colonial army attacked Sulaimania to destroy the Kurdish administration which had been set up by Sheikh Mahmud. And southern Kurdistan came under British mandate along with all Mesopotamia to form the modern state of Iraq. In 1925, the League of Nations officially recognized the province incorporation into Iraq for at least 25 years. In 1927, oil was struck near Kirkuk. It was the richest deposit discovered anywhere in the world at that time.
In 1941, Britain and the Soviet Union, on behalf of the Allies, invaded Iran to prevent Reza Shah to turn his sympathy for Nazi Germany into a military alliance with the Axis powers. Most of the Kurdish region in Iran formed part of Russian zone of occupation. Under the Soviet influence, the Kurds and also the Azerbaijanis effectively ruled themselves until December 1945, when they established two republics, the Democratic Republic of Iranian Azerbaijan and the Kurdish Republic of Mahabad. Kurds from Iraq, Turkey and Syria came to Mahabad to offer their services. But in 1946, the Russians moved out of Iran, and the Iranian army occupied the two republics, which rapidly collapsed.
A few projects which have been initiated prove of benefit primarily to the Arab South. Communications medical care and social services are still very primitive. Although the richest oil fields, Kirkuk, Khanaqin and Sinjar, which are in Kurdistan, should have provided employment for the Kurds, it is entirely Arabs who are employed there, and the same applies to the mere 3% of Iraqi industry located in Kurdish areas.
After the Iraqi Revolution of 1958, the Constitution of Iraq recognized for the first time that Iraq is composed of two main nations, Kurds and Arabs. The Iraqi regime at that time, under the leadership of Qasim, took some positive steps towards the Kurdish national and cultural rights and started a radical land reform.
أيها المواطنون، وقد سبق لي قبل هذا أن افتتحت المؤتمر الأول للجمعيات الفلاحية وهذا هو المؤتمر الثاني أحضر بينكم، فنفتتح هذا المؤتمر على بركة الله وباسم الفلاحين الكرام في أرجاء البلاد. إننا نحضر كلنا ونحن فرحون ومسرورون بأن نلتقي هذا اليوم ونحن أحرار في بلادنا، فقد تحرر الأقطاع حق الله.
But relations worsened when Qasim attempted to deport the Kurdish population away from the oil-producing Kirkuk region. Under the influence of Arab chauvinistic forces, the government withdrew its rights from our people, and in September 1961, the Iraqi army launched a full-scale attack on Kurdistan. Our people was obliged to defend itself and started an armed struggle against the government forces. Firstly, to defend the
Kurd boy درکو لجیانی چند سالی دا لگل عبدالکریم و غیر عبدالکریم جیانی بشیوی پیشو زور زحمت است و سخت و هیچ ممکن نیه بوی ناچار داوای حکم ذاتی اتونومی بو خوی بکات لچارچیوی سنوری عراق دا بو اوی بتوانی نخت با آسودگی و سربستی بجید ولبر اوی کمنیش یکا کم لملتا و او داخوازش لسر آرزوی همو ملتی کرد بوی منیش لسر او رأیم و داوای دکم و ایمش هیچ کاتک داوای جابرونوی دامزراندنی حکومتی کردستانی سربخوما نکردوا.
This movement by the KDP, Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iraq, could collect tens of thousands of Kurds around the revolution, and for 14 years, till March 1975, there will be a large area of Kurdistan liberated from the Iraqi government control. After the collapse of Qasim's regime in 1963, our movement forced the following regimes in Baghdad, one after the other, to a ceasefire with a promise to fulfill the Kurdish rights. Unfortunately, none of these governments recognized our rights.
A United Nations mission later reported that 40,000 houses were destroyed in some 700 villages, and 300,000 people had been displaced or made homeless. There were severe civilian massacres. In 1970, the Ba'ath government sought to bring a rapid end to the Kurdish war. In March 1970, the two sides, we and the Iraqi government, signed a 15-article peace agreement. This recognized our people as equal partner with the Arab people. A period of 4 years was specified in order to implement the agreement, during which Iraqi Kurdistan would become autonomous. The most fundamental article of the agreement concerned the carrying out within 1 year of an official census delineating the boundaries of one united autonomous region for Iraqi Kurdistan.
The Ba'ath government failed to conduct this census, and instead of implementing the 1970 agreement, It announced its own law of autonomy in March 1974. It also set up a so-called Kurdish Legislative Assembly. Members of this assembly were directly nominated by the central government.
In the whole revolution, I think we have just about 100 doctors, including the dentists, and all the medicine, surgical instruments, milk powders, food, baby food, some blankets, and some independent friends in Belgium, I think, they have brought us a table for gynecological and obstetrical operation. And their guns, the Kalashnikovs, were covered by phosphorus, and it was shining from the darkness. The eyebrows, their moustache, their beard, and their hair, all of them were full of phosphorus. But we tried to take it away or to shave the hair, and we prepared some medicine of copper sulfate, 5%. It said that it is good to treat the burns and put it continuously under cover of water. Because whenever you prevent phosphorus from air atmosphere, from air oxygen, it starts burning. So we put them continuously under cover of water and cover.
بريندار بوم بيبري حتى وشوارده كجبي زوزق كرمترين شري لي ذكرى وهي زكاني حكمتي فاشز بهمو خول وطواناي خويا يرشيان هنايا سرحي زكان مانو تازه ترين ونويترين تشي بكار اهنا بۆ شەڕی کوردستان هەر وەکو فڕۆکەی شەڕ و تەنگ و تۆپ و تەنها ئەمانە بەز نەبوو هەرچی چەکێکە لە جیهاندا قەدەغە بوو ئەو بەکاری ئەهێنا وەکو بۆمبای ناپاڵم و فسفۆر و تێزاب بەکاری هێنا بۆ وێرانکردنی دێوشارەکانی کوردستان لەناوبردنی بەسەدان مناڵ و ژن و بێتاوان من کە بریندار بووم بە بۆمبای فسفۆر کە هەموو لەشم بەر ئەو بۆمبایە کەوت تاکو چەند ڕۆژێ هەر لە لەشما فسفۆر دەسووتە تاکو ئێستاش زیاد لە 25 ئەمەلیات کراوم و هەرچەندە هێشتا زۆر ئەمەلیاتی ترم ماوە کە بیکەم ئەمە یەکێکە لە جەریمەکانی بەعسی فاشست خۆی پیشاندا کە چەند درندە و خوێندمژی کووردە
Their beard and their hair, all of them were full of phosphorus. But we try to take
General Barzani party, he's playing a leading role in the Kurdish society because he has been leading the Kurdish national movement for more than 40 years. The organization in Kurdistan is based on the organization of the party, Democratic Party of Kurdistan, which is playing a leading role in the life of the Kurdish people. KDP is a social, DP is mainly a nationalist party. It works among the people of Kurdistan, but at the same time it is an Iraqi party.
The KDP, however, in search for external support, developed relations with neighboring Iran. Right from the mid-60s, the Shah of Iran provided military aid to the Kurdish movement in Iraq. Later on, this assistance was enlarged by covert military support from the United States of America.
CIA support for the Kurds began in 1972 at the request of the Iranian government dollars. The delivery was made through the Iranian government after Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi asked former President Nixon to provide military assistance to the Kurds. Barzani apparently distrusted the Shah, and the United States acted as a guarantor that the Kurds would not be summarily dropped by the Iranians, as in fact happened. The arms deliveries to the Kurds were apparently made over the opposition of the State Department and officials of the CIA itself. The National Security Council, which has the responsibility for approving covert operations, was not asked to agree to the plan. To President Nixon and Dr. Henry Kissinger, the United States refused to extend humanitarian assistance to thousands of refugees created by the abrupt termination of military aid. As the committee staff was reminded by a high U.S. official, covert action should not be confused with missionary work.
Of course, some of our members, they have armament also at that time, and they took a part in artillery sections in the war. We work in social field in the camp. As we are a social association, we are not a political federation, as you know.
لا طيبوا معسكر لها بتاوي كرام كن لو لا بسربوا متعداء أنا كنت فرقصي بكردو عربي أنا كنت نظام كنت هذا بوما بيش مرقا لا يكاك براين بيداي نجرب براين بيداي إيش هاي نجيب هاي زوزك والبوا قاموا يخوما تيبوا كش ولا حكومة باشتروا حكومة هات تيمارك كش بوي هار تعداء كردو حفر قصية كردو هاو كرد درماني كردو ماشي
The Iranian commitment was much greater. The Shah was heavily involved in Kurdistan. I estimated he supplied about 1,000 men, soldiers, technicians, and backup artillery teams. These bases were well known to all the Kurds, who were kept secret from visiting foreign journalists.
As far as the Persian help for us is concerned, I think they have made it very clear that some humanitarian help is being given to the Kurds. In this sense, especially when an economic blockade is applied by the Iraqi government, the border becomes more or less open. We get medical supplies, food supplies, and things of that matter. Now, that being under the mercy of the Persians, I don't think so, because, I mean, we control an area within which we can, if need be, to live on a subsistence level.
Of course, when we read about our history, we know that Shah is our enemy, and Shah was against us from beginning. Yet in 1974, or before that, many of our people, they began to believe that Shah is our friend, because we thought that, I mean, our leadership made us to think that what we got from Shah is humanitarian help. So we thought that Shah is our friend also. And always we heard about Barzani, that he is our leadership and that he is the greatest leadership, because Barzani began his struggle from 1930s. And he continued his struggle for about more than 40 years. As I read now in newspapers that our leadership had a relation with CIA, of course, we cannot say that our people, they knew all these. But later on, we have seen, all of us, we have seen Iranian military, Iranian army was in the revolution. Then at that time, we knew that our revolution and the order of our revolution is not in our hand. It is in the hand of the others who are behind the border.
The Algiers Accord was announced on March 6th. The Kurds, of course, were dumbfounded when they realized the extent of the Iraqi-Iranian agreement. Within hours, Iranian artillery pieces, shells, and other weapons were on their way out of Iraqi Kurdistan into Iran. The Kurds were left to face a large-scale offensive launched by the Iraqi army on March 7th, with virtually no ammunition for their few remaining big guns and anti-aircraft batteries. General Barzani's decision to stop fighting unleashed bewilderment and disillusionment among the Kurdish civilian population and the Kurdish forces. Some partisans threatened their commanders at gunpoint and told them they would continue the struggle without their leaders. In the remote areas of Badinan, near the Turkish frontier, Kurdish guerrillas shot dead one of the most famous commanders in Kurdistan, Isa Swar. Kurds spoke openly against the general's decision to capitulate. Some branded their leader a traitor to his people. A ceasefire was proclaimed on March 13th, and the Iraqi government offered an amnesty to all those Kurds surrendering before April 1st. This was later extended for Kurds in Iran wanting to return to their homeland.
Everybody was very much shocked by the collapse. There were a lot of feeling that there should be the continuation of the resistance, and a lot of feeling against Iran being the main thing. Those foreign relations, they started at the end of 1962, and they were continued all through, and they got deeper and deeper. The leadership of the revolution could be held responsible for those things, and they were made as tactical aims trying to benefit the revolution. We had deep relations with Iran, as a lot of people know about it. The relations with the United States, they were there since 1972. The Israelis were involved in it through Iran. The Iranian thing was almost, I mean, people knew about those things because it was very clear, and we had that frontier with them, and it continued for 13 years. The rest of relations, actually, they were known by a few people, political bureau, Barzan leadership altogether.
My dear General, I was most pleased to receive your message. I am convinced that secrecy has been of a paramount importance in maintaining our ability to do. It's only for this reason, as our concern for your personal safety, that I hesitate to suggest a personal meeting here with you. I look Henry Kissinger.
One of the astonishing facts about the Kurdish revolt in 74, 75 is that what had been built up painstakingly over 14 years crumbled totally within a matter of days. What also becomes clear is that the Shah had no interest in seeing the Kurdish problem in Iraq resolved either way. The Iranians simply wanted to sap the resources of Iraq. It now seems clear that the Iranians did more than just withdraw logistic support. They appear to have even gone as far as to threaten active intervention to help the Iraqi army end the Kurdish uprising. About 300,000 Kurds have been moved to the south, west and center of Iraq. The Iraqi government has been intent on moving Kurds from sensitive border areas and regions designated as strategic, such as Al-Rij, Kirkuk and Hanakim.
Is forbidden. Already they have asked many Arabian tribes to go to Kurdistan. Some of these tribes, they refuse to go to Kurdistan because they thought that it is difficult for them to live in Kurdistan because of the weather and geographical situation there. They don't like to live in Kurdistan. They like their own place, as we like our own place. Yet the Iraqi government forced these tribes to go there. And of course, they give them money and these things. Now they are living in Kurdistan. So Kurdistan has become a part of the Arab people, and they send the Kurds to live in the desert and in the camps. That's what the Iraqi government is doing with the Kurds, and of course, with the Arabs also.
In fact, the resurgence of guerrilla activity in May 1976 was the consequence of the resettlement of our people throughout the country. The Peshmergas took up arms spontaneously, mainly in those areas where the population has been deported. There are now three main Kurdish guerrilla movements involved in fighting the Iraqi army. The first one is the old Kurdistan Democratic Party, which regrouped after the collapse under an apparently new leadership. The second group is called the Preparatory Committee of the Kurdistan Democratic Party. General Barzani's closest aide, Dr. Mahmoud Osman, formed the committee in late '76 after breaking with the Kurdish leader.
For the time being, KDP has two organizations. One of them is the Provisional Leadership, which is headed by Barzani family, and they are following the same old policy of relations with America, Iran, and all the others. And also, they haven't changed, and they are not ready to condemn what they have done in the past. The second organization is our organization, which is the Preparatory Committee for KDP. It tries to reorganize the party away from Barzani family's influence and away from the old policies, and through cooperation with other progressive forces in Kurdistan, like PUK and other forces which could emerge, we could play a big role in this present situation. Especially that's very important because the Ba'ath regime in Iraq is following the same arbitrarian policy. They are having the same Arabization, deportation to the southern Kurdish people. Human rights are very much it's not there. They are following a very fascist policy, those Kurdish people. And we think that this reorganization would only be possible away from Barzani family's leadership.
The KDP Preparatory Committee made an alliance in 1978 with a faction of the newly formed socialist movement. The two groups merged later on to form the United Socialist Party of Kurdistan.
بعد تجربة النكسة المريرة التي تعرض لها الثورة الكردية بانهيارها إثر اتفاقية الجزائر، كان لنا درسا بليغا في أن الاعتماد على الخارج كله وشن حرب جبهوية طبعا غير ناجحة وغير ممكنة، وأن النضال والكفاح المسلح الطويل الأمد والاعتماد على الجماهير الشعبية الكادحة هو الطريق الأصوب والأنجح لمواصلة الثورة وتحقيق الأهداف القومية المشروعة للشعب الكردي.
بوسنوي ما في تقرأي رنزدرانم بوسنوي ما في تقرأي رنزدرانم بوازانيو سرفرازي بوسوشياليزم بوهمو كز روجي شادي بوسوشياليزم بوهمو كز روجي شادي سلدوش من ناكيناوا سلدوش من ناكيناوا باري رنجمان اشتناوا وقت شوايا كشو برواروش هر حالده آواشا زانم رزگاری بو مانمه آروشی با بافروتوفار بابي خاوز باب السيتي كوني جيران بابي خاوز باب السيتي كوني جيران.
The third guerrilla movement in Iraqi Kurdistan, which is considered the most important one, is called the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, the PUK. Its most prominent leader, Jalal Talabani, was one of the main political opponents of the Barzani in the 60s. Drawing its main support from Syria, the PUK works very closely with the Iraqi opposition political groups in fighting the present Ba'athist government in Baghdad. The PUK is a regrouping of different tendencies, such as the Marxist-Leninist League, the socialist movement, and some independents, in the shape of a front organization.
The Kurdish liberation movement was not ended after the escape of the tribally orientated leadership of Barzani. Most of the members of this leadership fled to Iran, others went back to Iraq, and some of them are now living in Europe and North America. As the Kurdish revolutionary elements refused the decision to dismantle the revolution, they started to work directly to establish a new organization to lead the Kurdish movement and resume the armed struggle on anti-imperialism and anti-reactionary basis.
برانی خۆشەویست ئەو کۆبوونەوەمان بۆ ئەوەیە کەوا باسی ئەرکەکانی سەرشانی پێشمەرگەی کوردستانتان بۆ بکەین بەو بۆنەیەوە کەوا ناو بەناو ئێوە ئەچن بۆ ناو جەماوەری گەلەکەمان بۆ ئەوەی ئەو پەیوەندەی نێوان پێشمەرگە و جەماوەری گەلەکەمان بەهێزتر بێت پێویستە برایانی پێشمەرگە هەمیشە ئەوەیان لەبیر بێت کە ئەوان پێشمەرگەی کوردستانن واتە ئەوانە خزمەتکاری جەماوەری گەلن و هەمیشە کاریان ئەوەیە کە نەک هەر لە ڕووی عسکەریەوە خەبات بکەن بۆ دەرفەڕاندنی حێزی فاسیستەکان بەڵکو لە ڕووی سیاسیشەوە بەهێزترین پەیوەندی لەگەڵ جەماوەری گەلەکەمان دروست بکەن و هەمیشە بەکردەوە بۆ جەماوەری گەلی بنوێنن کە ئەوان نۆکەر و خزمەتکار و پێشمەرگەی ڕاستەقینەی جەماوەری گەلن ئەوە وا داوا دەکات کە هەر پێشمەرگەیەک کاتێتە هەر شوێنێک لە پێش هەموو شتێکدا ئەبێ ناوی خۆی لەبیر بێت کە ئەو پێشمەرگەی کوردستان بۆ پارێزگاری کورد و کوردستان بۆ سەرنەوەی دیموکراسی بۆ عێراق و ئۆتۆنۆمی بۆ کوردستان سەرچی گرتوۆتە دەست.
ما عدا عدد القوات الموجودة كانت سابقة يعني سابق الشهر الثالث من سنة 77 والربايا والقوات اللي كانت موجودة جلب 40,000 مقاتل 40,000 جندي من الجنوب وبدأ بهجوم كاسح إلى الكردستان وقتل الأكراد البريئة وحرق القرى وتحذير القرى الكردية إلى الجنوب، وفعلا قام بها وتمكن من سيطرة بعض القرى وبعض المناطق بعد أن تصدت لها الفصائل الأنصار الكردية. قام بضربات لاحقة وضربات قوية إلى القوات الحكومية. فسمعنا بعد الهجوم وفشلهم بالسيطرة على المنطقة الكردية وبالقضاء على الحركة الكردية، قاموا القادة الفرق والألوية باجتماع وقدموا مذكرة إلى الحكومة العراقية بعدم تمكنهم بالقضاء على الحركة الكردية بالطرق العسكرية، وطلبوا من الحكومة اللجوء إلى التفاهم والحوار والحل السياسي للمسألة الكردية. أخيرا
Long live Kurdish armed struggle! 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 102 people were sentenced to death in Iraqi Kurdistan. Down with the fascist Ba'ath! 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 17 patriots were executed in Iraqi Kurdistan. Down with the fascist Ba'ath! Down with the fascist Ba'ath! Down with the fascist Ba'ath!
Our problem, I think, has two kinds of leadership. One is national leadership, and the another one is regional leadership. The first leadership is for all Arabian countries, and the regional leadership, I mean the Iraqi leadership, they are all from one family, or most of them, they are relatives. All they are from Tikrit, or all they are from the family of the Iraqi president and the Iraqi vice president. From 1968 till now, they began to kill more than 3,000 people in prison. And that was declared even by the president for some people when the chief of secret police, Nazim was killed. He told some ministers at that time that the chief of the secret police has killed more than 2,000 people without telling anyone.
The Amnesty International annual report states, Iraq remains one of the most serious violators of human rights in the Middle East. Amnesty International continues to receive reports of arbitrary arrests, routine torture, summary executions, and inadequate legal safeguards. The incidence of reported executions in Iraq is probably the highest in the Middle East. However, precise and well-documented information on executions is difficult to obtain. This is due to the official policy of silence on such events and the uncertainty of even the families, since bodies are often not returned to them after execution.
But will not allow the opposition to work in the country. The only thing they have is that they make propaganda outside, that they are socialists. And of course, I think what effect the governments out, many European governments and many socialist governments, is that they are rich with oil. And I think that's our...
ازگاری و مرد بزنگی کی دلش خیال حواسی پیش بسیم بخواب زحمت